refreshing our self-care and mental health routines. Hello, long time no see. I am Shalina B, and it's another live with me. So thank you for joining me, for coming back for another live. If you are new here, I am the go-to mom for family meals and routines, and I also teach my mamas how to prioritize their self-care, how to manage their homes, how to have peace and ease in the midst of chaos, whether you have one kid or multiples like me. It's a little chaos every now and then, but I try to promote ease and peace and teach you how to manage your home so you can find ways to regulate when you are overstimulated like I have been lately, and why I have been gone for the past 2 weeks. So if you are watching live on Instagram, hello, thanks for joining me. Say hello in the chat. If you're watching on Instagram replays, put a heart in the chat or the comment to let me know that you watched it. And if you're watching from YouTube, hello. I know it's been a while there as well. Feel free to join me, Shalina B on IG. I'm in my stories most of the time, a little more frequently than I am on YouTube besides posting those videos, but that's where I'm at. So just chat with me, connect with me. You know, I love to hear from you. If y'all have been in my DMs, you know, we will talk back and forth, and I will definitely kiki with you because y'all are my people. But yes, y'all, it feels good to be back. I have an issue with like taking breaks. I know that they are important. I know that they are restful. I know that's what I needed. But man, I feel like I let myself down sometime because I always have a goal to be able to, I wonder, should I unbutton this? Oh, it's fine. I always have a goal of just wanting to keep going, and I think that's what we see sometimes, that we keep going and we don't stop, and we don't often see rest promoted, but it really is necessary. And that's what I want to talk about today, especially it being Mental Health Awareness Month. We are into spring. I know a lot of us are into spring cleaning, revamping our routines. I've realize that every season there's going to be a different routine for yourself, for your family. So there's something that needs a change, and something about the springtime, you want to clean up and purge and organize and declutter, all those things. As we have just a new season of growth and blooming and all those things, we want to make sure that we make room for that in our homes. We want to make room for that mentally as well in our brains and our hearts. So it is important that we do that. So that's what today is going to be about. If you have been following the Spring Refresh series, I think we've done 2 so far. One has been about laundry routines, and the other has been about how to purge, or some tips on purging, decluttering, and organizing. So check those out. Let me know if they were helpful. Let me know some tips or things that you will implement in your own household. DM me, comment, whatever the case. So yeah, we're going to talk about the 4B's of going back to the basics. And this is something that I do often. If I fall off my routine, if life is a little crazy, I know all too well how I feel and how my house feels when I'm not on my routine, when I'm off, when we are all off of our routines, which is okay. We all are going to get off. We all can't be on our routines 100% because life changes, and I especially know on the days where, say, there's a day off or there's a holiday, like we just had Easter, and then my kids we had 3 birthdays within 3 days. Say Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 4 days of each other. So it was a lot of prep and planning for all those things that whole weekend. So that was out of our norm. That wasn't a part of our normal routine. So whenever things occur that are not a part of your normal routine, they can throw you off. So the most important thing is to give yourself that grace and that space, but to get back on it. However, sometimes it can be a little overwhelming because you jump right back into it and there's a lot of moving parts. I have 6 people in my family, and I have to remind myself of that often, that you have 6 people in your family. And I think that it has been an adjustment. Me and my husband had twins off the bat. So our lives, we went from 2 to 4. So it was that for about 6 years. So it was pretty routine. I think we pretty much knew what to do. Our kids were really laid back twins. You know, we didn't have any major issues or things like that. Obviously, my child on the spectrum, we had some things for him, some, you know, obviously his ABA therapies and, you know, different things like that. But I think that, in coupled with the two littles, and they are post-pandemic babies, so they are full, active, expressive children, and I love that for them. My therapist says the reason why they love to scream and be themselves when I'm on my therapy calls is because they are in a safe and loving home, and they feel comfortable being themselves. So I love that my therapist said that. But I'm like, man, I see why back in the day our parents were different. Okay, they had a different way of parenting. But I appreciate her telling me that, you know, they are safe, and they're safe, they're loved, and they have full room and space to be them. But like I said, as a mom that gets overstimulated, that carries a lot. I feel like that we talk a lot about that invisible load and like that emotional load that we carry. It can be very overwhelming sometimes. And sometimes we can feel off, not even including all the other things that we may be going through, our moods, our hormones, you know, whatever we may be feeling that month, that time of the month. It could be a lot. So while we are revamping our routines, while we are in this spring cleaning mode, for Mental Health Awareness Month, let's get back to our basics, and let's find what are our basics. What are things we can do when life is overwhelming, when things are a little chaotic, and we have a moment to recalibrate. How are we going to recalibrate? What is it? What are the things you're going to do to recalibrate? And these are the things that I am doing, and these are the things that I typically will do, because these are the things that I typically fall off of when I'm just trying to get through it, because I don't know, it just happens. And I think that is the most important thing that I've had to learn, that life happens, whether you have no children, one children, or multiple. Life is going to happen. You're going to get off your routine, but you can get back on it. So let's jump right into those 4B's of going back to your basics. The first B is to be still. And some of you may know the scripture, be still and know that I am God, Psalms 46:10. Sometimes we need to be still, because I think sometimes when a lot's going on, we continue to go. We're going to the one thing to the next, and we don't take time to pause, to be still. And God speaks to us when we are still. God gives us what we need when we are still. God often gives you those next steps. So say you've been praying to God about, what do I need to do? What things are coming next? Oh, thank God, there's sleep. I just had to stop and do that, because yeah, it's been a whole thing. But yes, so sometimes we want to hear from God, but we don't take the moment to just stop and let him speak to us. Let him deposit whatever it is that he has to tell us. So sometimes we need to really be still. And I know everybody may not understand what that means to be still, what that means to pause, but I like to think of it as quieting my mind. So instead of me going from the next thing, like I have to do all these things on my to-do list, I just really say, God, I'm going to give it to you. Help me to slow down. Help me to hear from you. And sometimes hearing from him may mean rest. He may literally have you lay down and take a nap. He may have you sit down. He may make space for you to sit down to rest. He may, cancel a meeting, or allow all of your cars to fall together on that particular day. And what it doesn't mean is that we fill it up with something else. And, I have more time, so let me do something else. That is the time that you prayed for. And that's the time that we need to sit down, be still, and listen. So that's what I did when I knew that things were all over the place the past 2 weeks. I knew that it was going to take a little bit of time for me to get back on. I'm like, all right, Lord, I don't think I can push through right now. So I'm going to slow down. And I think you are telling me to slow down. And it really gave me ease, and it really gave me peace, knowing that, God is handling my situations. He's working things out for my good. And I think most of the time too, when we are so busy, we forget to connect with him. So when we can slow down and pause and just let him speak to us. That's when he wants us to give our worries and our cares and our burdens to him, and let him handle the situation. Let him be very present in those moments. So it's just a time, like I said, to rest, to reset, to slow down, to hear from God, and to connect with God. And we can definitely talk more about that. If you are one of the people that were like, hey, I don't know how to be still, I don't really know how to quiet my mind, we could definitely talk more about that, because that was definitely something that I struggled with at a point, and I felt like I couldn't hear from God. But through fasting and through just learning how to pray and learning how to spend time with God, it really just kind of opened my mind in a different way of how to hear from him, and to follow his direction and how he gives direction, because how he gives direction is different than how we may get it from a GPS or get it from another person. But he's very intentional about how he speaks to us. The second B is be present. Okay. And this is just simply taking time to enjoy the moment. Again, not going from thing to thing, but enjoying the moment in time. Like sometimes if I have an extra moment, if I'm like in my head, I will, Jaden just gets home from school. Sometimes I'll use that time to clean up and do other things. But lately I have been just sitting down with him and just literally letting him talk. And I've learned so much about him. I've learned just where he is in his mindset and his growth and his development. And I know all the time sometimes we need to do other tasks, and sometimes we need to be productive, but oftentimes we just need to be present in the moment, because that's the time that God has for us. Maybe that is what God is trying to tell us, to connect. Because sometimes when we are busy, and this is talking about me too, sometimes when I'm busy and I'm kind of overwhelmed, I isolate and I disconnect. And connections sometimes bring you back to yourself. It brings you back to center. And I've just found just giving that space and just to listen to my kids, just to let them be, just being in the moment versus, oh, well, they're independently playing, let me go get this task done. I'm like, you know what? Me being present in this moment is more important than this other task. This other task will get done, but I get to really learn and give my undivided attention to my child as he's telling me whatever he is telling me, and I get to learn more about him or whoever it is. But just that connection is so important. Other ways to be present, maybe you take the scenic route versus the highway. And I know this is different based on where you live, because I know the scenic route could be real long, but the idea of it is like stopping to smell the roses, taking the scenic route, appreciating what's in front of you. And again, when we are so busy and we are overstimulated, overwhelmed, we're just trying to, what do they say, throw spaghetti at the wall to see if it sticks, all those things, we're not present. So these are just ways to be intentional, and again, appreciate what's in front of you and practice gratitude. I think that has helped me as well, just to realize. So I have like two things that I've been dealing with lately, or two sides of it. One, it has been challenging to understand the dynamic of six with everybody's different needs, different ages, all those things, and me being one person, as well as my husband, just trying to navigate that. Obviously still prioritizing our marriage, me prioritizing myself, making sure he has time for him, and us having time for each kid individually, collectively, needs. It's been a lot, but also God has also let me. He's shown me how much of a blessing it is for me to have my family, and how that is a part of my ministry to steward my family. Because I often wonder, how did I become a stay-at-home mom? How did I become a mom of four? Like all those things were, logically, I'm like, I know how it happened, but I think that was always destined for me, and that's what God had for my life. And I really try to embrace it and accept it. And I think that sometimes I have a hard time, accepting where my life is now versus where I thought my life was going, and the career path. Because, as millennials, we always have that path. We were told to go to school, get the degree, get the job, get the husband, get the kids, and I think that we see now that is not linear, and that is not the only way to do things. So I had the career, but I didn't go all the way to where I wanted to go. Now I have the family, and now I'm trying to figure out, I can still have both, but what does that look like? What do I prioritize now, and what do I prioritize later? And I am a firm believer that I don't have to forget about my goals, because I'm not, just because I'm a mom and just because I have multiple children. But it's a matter of, well, what can I do now to work up to that goal, and what may have to wait a bit, but I can do it. And I think I've seen in many different professions of people that have gotten their degrees have gone on to do wonderful things at different times, you know. So the fact that I'm taking the time out right now to steward my family and to be able to be home, I'm thankful for that. It's a blessing, and I'm still going to get the career that I want to have, that God wants me to have, but I definitely still desire to continue to do the things that I'm called to do, because I do feel like there is more for me to do. But right now I know how important it is to be there for my family. So be present, practice gratitude, you know, but also just take the time to appreciate what's in front of you. Be real about it too. Like I said, I have my ups and downs about it every now and then, but I am very thankful and grateful. Number 3, be mindful. So as we are being still, taking a moment to pause, to be still, to connect, to listen, to hear from God, as we are taking the time to be present, being in the moment, taking time to smell the roses or just connect with our family and our friends, we also want to be mindful. So this is the time that we declutter our brains. We declutter our the mental junk in our brains. And there are a lot of different ways that we can be mindful before we even do all of that. And this is the way that I know that I need to take a pause and a step back. I have to limit my social media consumption, and sometimes I do isolate. And I have to remember to isolate when God wants me to isolate, so I can get closer to Him, versus isolating from everyone, including spiritually. But I do limit my social media because we take in so much. There is so much information and misinformation out there these days that it can really cloud your brain even more and not help you to, just kind of release all of that stuff. So limit social media consumption, limit the negative and toxic conversations and people, because when you're trying to go back to your basics and reconnect with yourself after overstimulation or just a stressful period or getting back to your routines, all of that is not going to aid you in getting to where you want to be. So some ways that I like to be mindful. I love meditation. So this may be me listening to a peaceful playlist. I love that Apple Music. You can type in spa, peaceful playlist, sleep music, meditation music, and then you'll get some instrumental sounds where you can just sit there and meditate. I love that the Bible app also has a guided meditation that you can use to pray and read some scriptures and answer some prompts. And I think that is amazing. That I just did that the other day, and it's not a coincidence. It's intentional. I was talking to my friend about this, God's intention versus coincidence, and the things that I was going through when I was praying about the scriptures, the daily scriptures that were coming up, and the devotionals that we read in my family every day. We have a new devotional every week. They were all aligned with what I was going through. And when you pause, when you really open your heart to hear from God, He will give you the answers, and He will let you know that He is still there, and He is still God, and He is still in control. Because I feel like that's what the enemy does when we are in those negative and unsure spaces. The enemy loves to be like, see, or, just get in our heads. And meditating for me just really helps to give me that clarity, just to give me that moment of pause and peace to just not say anything, hear silence. I mean, silence is so valuable when you have a house full of kids. Silence is so nice, and it's few and far between, because even at night we have like 3 different sound machines going on and night lights on. So the silence in the dark I definitely miss. But I'm thankful for the time to meditate, just to have a moment of peace and to clear that mental junk and clutter out of my mind, so I can just approach situations with a clear head. Journaling, some people love journaling, some people don't, but this is always a good thing to get your thoughts out. You can do like a virtual video type of journal. You can use a notebook. There are different prompts that you can use as well. Just a way to get it out of your head and onto paper. That is another way. I love a good brain dump. I have, like I said, with this being spring cleaning time, I have so many things that we have to do. We have our annual appointments that all the kids need. All of our annual services are coming up. And it can be overwhelming, but I just write it down. I'm like, all right, I can't get to it today, but I'm gonna write it down, and then we'll revisit our list, and me and my husband will talk, and we'll get it done. And really, when you're being mindful, I like to think of it as connecting with your senses and connecting with the self-care type. I talk a lot about self-care types. And the 4 that I talk about are physical, emotional, spiritual, and social. So physical is obviously moving your body. Emotional could be journaling, meditation, therapy. Spiritual is obviously connecting to God, being in nature. And then social is positive connections in your life, family, friends, just good people that fuel you and that pour into you. And then with your senses, it's something about connecting with your senses. It kind of just lets you know that you are all, everybody's connected. Your body is connected. And that's what I love about guided meditations. Sometimes they'll say, breathe in, and reconnect with your head. Breathe in and reconnect with your nose, your mouth, your neck, your shoulders, your arms. Literally, they go down to the body. Reconnect with your fingers, move your thighs, your legs down to your feet. And it really kind of just connects everything. So when I think about your senses, your sight, your smell, touch, taste, and hearing, it's just a way to just ground yourself again, because maybe sometimes I'm in my head. So everything I'm doing is in my head. So I'm not connected to my body. And I know that sounds weird, but sometimes to get stuff done, I have to compartmentalize, and I have to have the multiple me's to get stuff done. And as moms, as wives, as women, we do have multiple roles, and we do have to switch those brains to be the different people. So sometimes, to get stuff done. So sometimes I have to just stop, bring everything back to one, reground, recenter for us to move forward. So that is being mindful. And then the 4B of going back to your basics is being active. And I mentioned a little bit about that with the self-care types, and be mindful. But that is to be active. It doesn't mean you have to go full steam. You got to be at boot camp working out, but some type of activity to, again, make sure that you connect the mind, body, the spirit, the soul, to make sure that you are getting oxygen into your body, to make sure that all of your organs are moving and working properly, and just things are connected. Because sometimes when different parts of ourselves aren't connected, we do feel down, we feel bad, our moods may change, we may feel like we just can't get the thing done. So breathing is always an easy way to be active. Just some mindful breathing. I do a 4 to 6 method, which you breathe in for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You hold in for 2 seconds, 1, 2, and then breathe out for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's box breathing. So you literally count 4 seconds into a box. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think you breathe in for 4. You hold it for 4. You breathe out for 4. And then you rest for 4. I can't remember what the last part of the box is. But you just think about breathing in like a box. It's called box breathing. So just some simple methods. Things are overwhelming. Maybe you feel overwhelmed, and maybe you can't do all the journaling and all the other stuff. And maybe you can just sit down and breathe for 12 seconds, and do box breathing for 8, 12, 16 seconds. Yes. So, moving your body too, if you can, do some stretching. I love a good bed stretch. Sometimes you could just, and there are a lot of different playlists on YouTube too that have different stretches you can do right in your bed, just to get those muscles and ligaments and everything moving, because everything's kind of, bent or stuck together at night. So you want to just open it up so you can feel refreshed for your day. Walking, me and the littles walked today outside in the rain because they were feeling a little cabin feverish, and I needed to get it. We just needed to get out. We needed some fresh air. So that breathing and walking in that fresh air, and even that rain coming down, was just so refreshing. It felt so great, and I'm so thankful that they are sleeping now. Having a good diet, make sure that you are hydrating, you're eating your fruits, veggies, proteins, things that make you feel good. The food that doesn't make you feel good, that makes you feel sluggish, it's my comfort food, and I know that. So I know when I think comfort food makes me feel good, but it doesn't. It does make me feel worse. But fuel yourself with the things that make you feel well. Hydrate your body as well. This is also a good time to fast. When I feel off and when I know that I need to get back on track, and especially in a healthy way, fasting is a good time to do that. Maybe it's food, maybe it's social media, maybe it's something else that's distracting me that I need to hear from God. So fasting is a great way to get back on track. If you are a desire to fast, if you need some information for fasting, just DM me or comment fast, and I'll be happy to connect with you to give you some resources on how to fast if you are new to fasting. And then it's also a good time to create some new habits and break some old ones or some bad ones. Just as it's like a reset. That back to the basics is kind of like a mental reset for yourself. So it's also a good time to think about what habits have been helping me and are healthy, and what habits are unhealthy and have not really been helping me reach my goals. And it's a good time to reevaluate and then kind of reset some of those things so you can set some new goals, until for that quarter or that new period, that new season. So that is it. The 4B's of going back to the basics. Be still, be present, be mindful, and be active. So I hope that was helpful for you. If you are feeling a little cloudy, feeling a little overwhelmed this particular season, this is a good way to just stop, recalibrate, and take a minute to reflect and reset and go back to your basics. So I would love to know what are some of the things that you do to go back to what do you do to go back to your basics? Do you do any of these B's? And if you in any of the B's that I mentioned, what do you do specifically? Or maybe it's something else. I would love to know how you are recalibrating and resetting, making sure that you have mental clarity, making sure that you are present, and you continue to show up for yourself and show up for your family and all your roles and different responsibilities. I don't see any questions or any comments, but I appreciate you joining me on today. I pray that you have a blessed rest of your day. It's time for me to go get my kids off of the bus. But I'm glad to be back. And I'm going to keep going on. If I have to stop and take a rest, take a pause, I'm going to do that. And I hope that's a good example for you to know you can rest, you can pause, but you can come right back. Just like we take a day off of work, we can take a rest or take some time off with other things. So pray you are well. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.